Our focus today is going to be on the top 10 career resources that you can use and that your students, your postdocs that you serve, the alumni that you engage with, can also use. In most cases, what I'm sharing or what Michael and I will be sharing today will be things that are accessible to everyone. There'll be a few areas that you, as an alum, you may not be able to access everything, or as a staff member, you may not be able to access everything. But most of the resources that we're sharing today are things that you can take advantage of in your own career and professional development. So with that, I'm going to let my co-host today, Michael, introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael DeAngelis. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Communications and Technology here at Penn Career Services. And so one of the big parts of my job is to oversee all of our digital resources, our website, the external platforms that we use, as well as all of our social media, which includes our YouTube channel, which Joseph already mentioned, and we'll be talking a bunch more about later on.
Thank you, Michael. I'm the Director of Graduate Career Initiatives here at Penn's Career Services. Initiatives built into my title. I like new things that we can get out there, new resources. And so excited to talk about some of the things that I spend a lot of the time talking about in appointments with students and postdocs and alumni so that they can take advantage of these resources. Here are the 10 things that we are going to cover today. We're going to sort of go through these and give you an idea about how they can be used and how they're useful, how you can use them, and how you can make the most use of those. And then also, talk about how they can be used by other populations at Penn as part of their professional and career development. Now, if you go through this list and start counting things up, you'll notice that perhaps I lied to you in terms of saying that there were 10, because there are more than 10 things here. So there's like a bonus sale, 15 for the price of 10. Everyone loves a sale. So we are going to make sure that we get through all of these for you. The ones that I've colored in red here right now are the ones that perhaps are most relevant to you as staff or faculty here at Penn, things that you can use immediately for whatever it is that you want to use them for. The other ones we'll touch on are sort of more student focused and things that students can use, but you may find that there's value in all of these things. So this is just a general sense of what some of these resources are. Michael and I are going to go through this and sort of divvy up the different areas here and the different resources and talk about those. So I'm going to encourage you to post questions in the Q&A if you have them, to post comments in the chat if you have those too. Whoever's not speaking can answer those questions and respond to your comments as we go through this. Career Explorer. So like many types of skills assessments out there or personality assessments out there, Career Explorers are just a great resource to help you think about the diversity of options that may be open to you, but also the diversity of skills and sort of professional narratives that you can create about yourself as you are thinking about career next steps, right? Career Explorer, right in the name, it's about exploring your options. You have a great role right now, but where else can you go? And what other paths are open to you with someone with your skills and background? This is a resource that we sort of subscribe to at Penn so that students can use for free. And again, you can use that for free as well. I put the link in here. It's going to be in the links. Just like with the other tools that are out there that you might have come across, there's no magic to this tool, right? It's not going to understand you better than you understand yourself, right? You know yourself, you've lived with yourself for a longer time than this software has, but it's going to give you the ability to reflect on what you know and reflect on how you see yourself and perhaps sort of brainstorm a little bit with yourself and with what the results that you get from the assessment about what that means about your next steps or your current steps, right? So again, no magic. Whatever this tool tells you to do, you shouldn't go out and do because that's not what it's there for, but it's there for you to sort of get a sense of understanding yourself better or understanding yourself from a different perspective outside of your inner voice. What are other people saying about you or what's other software saying about you? So just like with a typical assessment, you're going to go through this and take a sort of an assessment that's a bunch of questions about your interests, about your skills, about your values, and that's sort of the input that this tool uses to then kick out the results for you, right? And so again, because you are giving all the input, it should not be surprising that the results do align with some of the things that you do well and some of the things that you know about yourself. What is powerful about this tool, though, is it gives you different language to describe yourself with. It allows you to create different narratives about you and the skills and the value that you bring. And that is essential to position yourself for any new opportunities that you might be excited by. So I went through and I took the assessment and I got a congratulations. I love a congratulations. And it's given me some results here. I'm just going to walk through the different results that you see here. First of all, it's given me sort of 3 themes that represent who I am. I'm a groundbreaker, I'm competent, which I like, and I'm a maximizer, right? And again, these aren't words that you would typically use about yourself or that I would use, But when someone says to you, hey, you are this thing, you can take ownership of that and then integrate that as part of your narrative, right? So that's the first thing to sort of that jumps out here, is that these are new words that you can use to describe yourself as you're positioning yourself moving forward. The groundbreaker, right? So you'll see each of these different areas that I highlighted here. Now, very much like Pokemon cards, they're saying, look, I'm rare. They're only 5.7% of users use this or have this. I don't know if that's entirely true. I think everyone wants to be seen as rare. So I don't know if they're going to say this is bog standard. You are just like everyone else. I think it's always going to identify things that are unique about you. But as you read some of these things, you'll sort of see yourself reflected in different ways, right? So under Maximizer, it says decisions or purchases, no matter how small, demand of a lot of attention and research. And it's like, hey, this tool has been watching me shop on Amazon recently. So, you see yourself reflected in this, which I think is helpful. Some of these things are strengths. Some of them are strengths in certain contexts. All of these things are you, and you should take ownership of those things. The next thing that you saw on that original page was a list of careers, right? These are things that you don't have to do, that you may not want to do, but there are things that are obviously going to overlap with some of the skills and interests that you have. Now, as I look at these things, art director jumps out as something that I wouldn't be good at because I can't draw, but maybe there's other parts of art that I could do. But some of the things that I am, or that I have been, are these things. I am an adjunct professor up in New York. I do write for a blog. I have edited for a journal. I have been a zoologist. I have a PhD in animal behavior. I'm not a television writer, but Michael has overlap there. So maybe that's why Michael and I get on so well in those areas. One of the things that you may not see here is career advisor. However, with a little bit of tweaking, you might say that career advising is really just a subset of being a mammologist because that's the way it works. So again, this is my background. These are all avenues that I might take, but they're not saying that I should, take these paths. Then there are these reports that I think are really interesting, right? So it's saying that I'm investigative, I'm a groundbreaker. If I click on the investigative one, it gives me sort of a sense of where my skills or interests or value lies, right? So in terms of breaking down across these three, sort of 6 different areas, investigative, enterprising. I found it a little bit unhappy in making to put the social in red here as if it was a really bad thing. I know that's not my strength, but putting it in red was a little bit unnecessary, I felt like. For the groundbreaker, so unique blend of investigative and enterprising, you get this nice, again, dynamic version of how your skills and tendencies can be beneficial to you and how they can be challenging, right? So tendencies to be care of. Groundbreakers must deal with a clash between their skills. They want to spend time alone, thinking through different problems, but they also crave to be in front of people, taking risks and engaging in competition. Again, there are elements of truth in that aspect for me, especially the being alone. As you can see, the social element here is again, very small. But these are all things that you can reflect on as part of your identity. The report also talks about things that you can watch out for, how you get on with different people in teams, what your style is, what your leadership style is, all things that can be helpful to you as part of your exploration and positioning yourself for your career next steps.
Thank you, Joseph. I do love a top 10 list. As you can see, a big David Letterman fan, made my parents move their TV into my bedroom so I could watch The Late Show when I was a kid. I'm going to talk about Firsthand, which some of you may know by its former name, Vault, and that is a name that they still use for some of their products. So I wanted to make sure that both names were there. But as of last year, the company and platform are going by the name Firsthand. And as a lot of people have been asking in the chat about, are all of these platforms available to everybody at Penn? This is one where a Penn key will not just get you in. You do need to have a valid, active Penn email address. So alumni can use it if they have an alumni.upenn.edu email handle. But this is something you have to sign up for with an active and valid Penn email address. Now, we are hoping that in the coming school year, we can move this to a Penn key authentication. But for the time being, you students and alums would have to sign up with their Penn email to get access. So what is a Firsthand or Vault? It is a all-in-one, as they say, career insight platform. You can find it on our website, and it brings you to the Firsthand landing page. So there is a different there are many different sections to Firsthand. This is what it looks like when you first log in. Welcome you to the Career Insights. If you look at the left-hand sidebar there, you'll see that there are several different sections. The first one is the library. If I can get the slides to go. I went too far, I think. So the library, this is where they essentially post their articles and blogs. So there are career insights, there are industry insights, but you can see there are all sorts of things here. Brain food to eat before your interviews, why you shouldn't use ChatGPT to write your college and grad school admissions essay, 5 tips for ensuring job is a right fit for you. So these are just general career topics and articles that you can dive into. There are some interviewing tips. There are some pre-interview social media cleanup tips. So this is great if you're just looking, if you're on the job market or you're looking for some professional development reading, this is great. Vault Law, well, that's exactly what it sounds like. They have a really rich history of providing insight into the law field. So all of our pre-law students, our Penn Law students can take advantage of some of these things. This is mostly aimed at people who want to go into law rather those who are already in it. So again, interview insights from 10 top ranked law firms, their law resource center, practice area insights. Again, it's articles, it's industry information aimed at those wanting to go into law. So that's very popular with our pre-law students. I know that our pre-law advisors point students to it all the time. Career Insights. This is the one that I want to spend the most time on the next two because the Vault, the platform before it merged with Firsthand was really dedicated to sharing industry insights and career insights. And so when you look at these guides that they have provided, they're really in depth. So they range from things like best law firms from diversity, top 10 law firms. Again, the law is right up at the top there, but lists things by industry. So top 10 consulting firms, top 10 finance firms, top 10 entertainment jobs. They're really like deep dives for when students are exploring industries and they need a broad overview of what those industries and what sort of jobs are available in those industries, what trends are happening within those industries. Then you can dive into the nitty-gritty with the industry guides. They have hundreds of industry guides, and they start at a very top, broad level, and then they get very granular. So again, looking at the first, you've got education jobs. Well, that's a pretty big field. Then you can drill down, and down at the bottom, you can see we've got math and physics jobs, operations and logistics jobs. I know that because I manage the performing arts and entertainment industries, they get incredibly granular. So there are guides to comic book artists, there are guides to theatrical designers, there are guides to careers in camera operation for the entertainment industry. So it gets incredibly granular. And the things that you'll find in these guides are top employers, typical jobs, average salary information, locations where these jobs are. They're really fantastic. So if I am a student and I am thinking about a job in mathematics and physics, and I'm like, I wonder what I could end up doing, I could dig into that guide and I could see what the possible career outcomes for me might be. We point students to these all the time, as well as their sort of skill-based guides. So while Penn Career Services provides all sorts of information on how to create resumes, cover letters, network, and interviewing, we are very happy to supplement that with other great material, and Vault is one of the places where we get those supplements. So there are guides to resume writing, interviewing, networking, all the big sort of topics for when you're on the job search. I want to point out that all of these resources, while you can get to them by going through the Firsthand link on our site, we also feed the guides out into our community industries on the website. So you can see in this sort of grainy GIF that I have of our website, this is our performing arts community on our website. If you click on Vault Guides, it brings you down, and then the Vault Guides are pre-filtered to all the ones that apply to the fine arts community, performing arts community. So as I said, that comic book artist guide, the acting guide, the music guide, careers in journalism, careers in media entertainment. All those guides are pre-filtered, so the students don't have to dig through them. So again, if you go to our life sciences community, the science guides are there. If you go to our finance community, the banking and finance guides are there. So we like to try and bring all of these things to the forefront when our users are on our website.
Fantastic. So in this photo, I'm wearing LinkedIn colors, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, you've used LinkedIn before, you have your LinkedIn profile, so I'm not going to cover in too much detail, the basics of LinkedIn. Some of the things that, the ways that you can use LinkedIn, I've covered in other videos that we put together for our students that are on the Penn Career Services YouTube channel. These are graduate-focused videos and workshops that we've done on LinkedIn. The advice is applicable to you as it is to the graduate students that we serve. So if you're looking for just a little bit more detail about how to leverage LinkedIn and how to set up your profile, then I encourage you to take a look at those videos there. What I'm going to cover are sort of 3 different areas just to make sure that you're using all the facets of LinkedIn as effectively as possible. Today at Penn, the staff search and alumni search, just to give you a sense of some of the other things that you can be doing to grow your network, to find people that you might use in your programs and events, to explore your options yourself. Now, the Today at Penn is a very easy one to cover. If you go to the University of Pennsylvania school page, which is also the company page, it's the same thing on LinkedIn. Right at the bottom, if you have, that you are part of University of Pennsylvania in your profile, right? You work at the University of Pennsylvania, you should see this University of Pennsylvania Today, which is not connected to the Penn Today newsletter, but you can see that there are updates about staff at Penn, right? So in the 30 workers who were recently promoted, I see my colleague Jackie featured there. Jackie was recently promoted in our office as well. So if you want to keep up to date and be able to congratulate people and see what's going on, who's moving and shaking at Penn, that's a great place that you can click around and see what's out there, right? It's great networking to be able to sort of congratulate people on the career progression that they are making in their own careers. So that's a very simple thing that you can take a look at when you're on the University of Pennsylvania school page. Staff search can be used in many different ways, right? So when I'm on this page, you can see that there is the 20,000 employees that work at Penn. Now, what is classified as an employee versus a student versus a postdoc, it's a little bit mixed together, right? So you might find some TAs and some postdocs as employees because they sort of do work at Penn, and LinkedIn doesn't necessarily make a distinction. But it's a really great subset of people who are mostly staff and faculty that you can then access. So if you click on that number there, the 20,000 number, you get taken to this page where you can now search within that 20,000 people based on a keyword or a set of keywords, right? So in the search bar up top, I put career advisor in, and out of that 20,000 people, we have about 261 people who have career advisor in their title, in their experience, in their past, but they're all at Penn. They're all doing something at Penn right now. So Laura, Jackie, Esther, Dustin, Natty, Megan, they're all here at Penn's Career Services. If I expand it out, then these are some of our partners who work beyond career services, but who may have an interest or experience in career advising, including one of our peer career advisors, a student who works in our office. So a great way to search for people at Penn, because the directory is not the easiest, the Penn directory is not the easiest way to navigate. This gives you a lot more information with a lot more power to see what's going on. So again, if you're looking for someone for your own career and you want to find someone who's in a particular role, this may be the way to go, to sort of find those people and start having a conversation with those people. The tool that we use when working with students a lot is the alumni tool. So we're back on the career services, the University of Pennsylvania page on LinkedIn. You can see the number, the employees above that, but below that in that horizontal bar, you can see alumni. If I click on that alumni, it's going to take me to the alumni page where you'll find, sort of varies day to day, but about 190 to 200,000 Penn alumni and current students, right? It's all mixed together in terms of alumni and students. But they're all there and they're all searchable and filterable on 6 sort of different pieces of information, where they work, right? So you can look for Penn alumni who work at Penn, or Penn alumni who work at Google, or any employer that's out there. where they live geographically. Maybe you're traveling somewhere, or maybe you want to focus on a particular geographic area in some work that you're doing. You can find the Penn alumni who are in that area. We use this a lot when students are moving from the US, especially domestic students, to an international location. They're perhaps doing a research job in Paris, right? And they're like, well, how do I develop community there? Well, you look for Penn alumni who are in Paris or in France, and then you can sort of have something in common with people who are there, who might be able to give you a lay of the land. Other filterable elements, what they do, so that's sort of the role that one plays. So these are broad sort of industry categories: healthcare, research, education, consulting. What they're skilled at, so this is self-reported things that people say that they have, so you can search for people who have a similar skill to you. What they studied, now this isn't a direct match to Penn majors and categories, but it's close enough. So if you're interested, for example, in Penn people who have studied organizational dynamics, a lot of people in this session today might be doing a master's in organizational dynamics. You can find those people who are Penn alumni who have that background out in the world right now. And then how you're connected, right? So a first degree connection on LinkedIn is someone that you've actively said, would you like to connect? And you said yes. A second degree connection is someone that you know as a first degree connection who knows the person that you're trying to get in contact with, right? So someone that you know because you have someone in common. So this is a really powerful tool that allows you to slice and dice that 194,000 number of alumni in different ways. So if I was interested in people with a faculty affairs background out there in the world doing other faculty affairs, maybe I'm in that role and I want to do benchmarking with people at other institutions, but I need something in common with them that doesn't, not just random people, but maybe they're Penn alumni now who have a faculty affairs background. You can see that we have a whole bunch of people working at Penn, but people at Temple, at Widener, and you can see on the right who those people are. Your goal isn't to connect with those people because they don't know you yet, but your goal is to start a conversation, to reach out and sort of identify the fact that they have something of value to you, that you'd be interested in their lived experiences as you are sort of, exploring whatever topic that you're exploring. So a really powerful tool when we work with students, they can use it to find connections at a company that they want to apply to, who are Penn alumni, who can give them insight into the nature of the job and the culture of the company, and they can use that information as they're applying or interviewing for that role, and name drop a couple of people too. Hey, I was recently connected with one of your staff members who's a Penn alum, and they said it's a great place to work, and that's why I want to work here. So a really powerful tool that allows you to sort of explore those different dimensions of Penn alumni or Penn staff. The other LinkedIn thing I want to make sure that you're using is LinkedIn Learning, right? So if you go to your LinkedIn profile and you see that LinkedIn Learning button in the corner, that's great. You can click on that. You'll probably have access to it. I'll show you, if you don't have that in your corner of your LinkedIn profile, how to get that. But LinkedIn Learning is obviously just a library of resources and videos about any skill that you might want to develop: communication skill, programming skills, Excel skills, having difficult conversation skills, leadership skills, right? Whatever you might be interested in, there's going to be videos on LinkedIn Learning that you can leverage. And it's a great free resource that Penn gives you. Otherwise, you would have to pay for the premium subscription for LinkedIn, which is very pricey, in order to get LinkedIn Learning. So it's a great resource to have. Let's say you have an interview coming up and you want to get some tips for doing an interview for a promotion here at Penn, for example. You can find some videos on LinkedIn Learning that are going to be helpful to you. Now, if you don't see that LinkedIn Learning icon in the top right-hand corner, then you can go to this link here and you can click on Get Service, and that's going to sort of connect you as a Penn entity with the LinkedIn Learning resource so that the systems know how to talk to each other and you can access that. I don't really understand how it works in the background, but by following these steps, you'll be able to access LinkedIn Learning.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. So we've come to the first one that Joseph did not highlight as being useful to our audience. But I think he meant that in of course, useful to you in your personal job search. This may be helpful if you are a faculty or staff member who's also in a degree program and you're looking to make a move after you obtain that degree, but it's probably most helpful to you to share it with the students that you work with. And these are our first destination surveys. So at the end of every graduation period, that's August, December, and May, we survey all of the graduating students who are served by our office, undergraduate, and graduate students, masters and PhDs, for their career plans. So are they employed? Are they seeking employment? Are they going to graduate school? Are they still seeking graduate school admission? Are they doing something else, taking time off, volunteering, joining the military. This is all information that we collect and share out on our website. So here on the Career Services homepage, you can see that we have an Outcomes tab. I'm going to be looking at our postgraduate outcomes. For our undergraduate outcomes, I'm very excited to share that, and some of you may have seen this, during the school year, we launched this as an interactive Power BI table. A big shout out to my colleague, Emily Borelli, who put all of her energy into making this happen, as well as our partners in University Life Technology Services, who gave us the tools to make this happen. So you can see here that you can look at the undergraduate career reports in an interactive fashion. You can look at it by class year. We've gone back to 2018. We're through 2022 at the moment. The 2023 data will go up in early 2024 after we've collected it all. If you don't know, we collect information up to 6 months after graduation. So the current survey will close in November, and then it takes us several months to clean and get it ready for reporting. So it goes up in early 2024. But if I wanted to see just the class of 2022, I could filter on that and see their outcomes. You can see we had a 75% rate of going full-time employment, 18.3% continuing education, just a 3.3% seeking employment rate, which is far, far below the national average. We're very proud of that. You, of course, then break that down further by school if you wanted to look at, say, just the nursing school, or if you wanted to look at just the college. You could then even break it down further and look at it by majors. So if I wanted to see what classical studies majors are doing, I can filter on that. We will not show a return if we have not enough information. I believe we need at least 3 responses from any given major to have the data shown. That's mostly for anonymity's sake. If we only had 1 respondent and they were, working at a named place, you could probably figure out who that person is. And we do want this to be an anonymous report. This is the overall. You can also switch then to look at full-time employment details. You can see our breakdown by industry. You can see the top employers, top job titles. We can also look at continuing education. And we can see again, I still have all my filters on. So we can see that for the class 2022, the #1 field of study for graduate schools was engineering, followed thereafter by medicine, science, and law. So we can look at where people are going. We can sort this. So it looks like, no surprise, our top graduate school is University of Pennsylvania itself. Princeton sneaking in there somewhere in the middle, but by far the top destination for Penn students is Penn itself. And then, of course, everybody is always curious about salaries. And let's look just at the class of 2022. Average salary for the class of 2022, $92,000. So that is really good news for Penn students. Right now, we only have the interactive chart available for undergraduates. We are working on the graduate student report being interactive like that. That will be happening in the coming school year. For now, graduate students do have static reports broken out by certain schools and a combined graduate report. One thing I do want to point out, you can see here that not all of the 2022 reports are up yet. It has become harder and harder for us to collect outcome information. Students are surveyed about every single thing that they do. And graduate students in particular receive multiple exit surveys from their school, from their department, from the university, and from us. So it is taking us longer and longer to collect that information, which means it's longer and longer to get it up on the website. However, we do have drafts of all of those ready, and the 2022 reports will be up in the coming weeks. So the one thing I'll just plug is that if you find all of this information valuable, please encourage the students that you work with to fill out their surveys. The 2023 survey is out in the wild right now, and unfortunately, the trend is continuing. Both our undergrad and graduate survey response rate is took a dip even from last year so far. So my staff is working really hard on following up and doing LinkedIn research and finding out what information we can.
The next resource that I'm going to talk about is CareerShift. You won't have heard of CareerShift. No one really has heard of CareerShift. I never heard of CareerShift. The name itself is not important. What it does, I think, can be very important. Now, it's a very complex platform. It does a lot of things, but I'm going to focus on the things that I use it for the most. You can use it for anything that will be helpful to you. Students use it in their own ways. Again, just because we've done lots of presentations on this, there's a video out there on exploring careers using LinkedIn and CareerShift that brings together some of the things that I was talking about LinkedIn, things I'm not going to talk about exactly here about CareerShift. But if you'd like to look at that video, you certainly can find more information about that resource here. The two things I want to demonstrate to you that CareerShift can do really well is to find a list of organizations in a certain industry in a certain geographical location, because there's not too many tools that actually do that well. Even a tool like LinkedIn, you can't really say, what are all the consulting firms in the New York City area, right? It doesn't really work in that same way as effectively. Also something that LinkedIn doesn't do really well or doesn't like to do is to give you email addresses of people that you don't know or aren't connected with. And that's very frustrating when you find a great contact, but then have a hard time getting in contact with them. So these are the two resources that I want to be able to share with you on CareerShift that might be helpful. So the first thing I've done here, I've logged in, I've set up my free account. And again, this is something that you can do is I've searched for, under the companies section here on the left menu, the industry, pharmaceuticals, the keyword genetics, the location New York, and I can add other things here. I can add a city area, I can add yearly revenue, if that was really a concern of mine, or the number of people who work in that organization. Maybe I'm only targeting startups, so I want less than 50 people, let's say. If they're Fortune 100 or 500, I can use that as a sort of a filter too. And then if I do that search, I get a list of organizations. I got 6 companies here. Genetics is a very specific keyword, right? Not everyone does that, or not everyone highlights that as part of their identity in terms of their company descriptions, which is obviously what this platform is pulling from. But this narrows down organizations that I might be interested in targeting as a student or a postdoc or an alum if I'm going to be moving to New York, and I want to make sure that I'm finding all opportunities to find organizations that I'm interested in that align with the skill set or knowledge that I'm bringing, right? So I can go into these different sections and look for more information about them. Now let's jump back to LinkedIn for a second, right? So maybe I'm on LinkedIn and I find Matthew. Maybe Matthew pops up into my feed. Matthew's a Penn alum, master's alum from Penn, working at Rocket Pharmaceuticals right now. And if I really wanted to reach out to Matthew, he's a senior scientist there, maybe I want to learn about the culture of the organization, and I click on that contact information, because Matthew is a third-degree connection, which means I know Matthew because I know someone who knows Matthew, which is not really knowing anyone at all, I don't get any information, right? The contact information does not give me a way to connect or contact Matthew. I don't want to use an email because, again, that's going to cost me money to do that. So what do? I can Google search and find things, or I can go back to CareerShift and I can put Matthew's name in and I can put the company name in. So this is under the contact search now. And up pops Matthew's information. Now I put a yellow box over his actual email because if we make this into a video, I don't want 1,000 people emailing Matthew because I shared his email. But you can do that for any company, right? You can just do it for a company and just see all the emails of all the people. You can find recruiters this way. You can find and crack an email code for a company, right? So maybe you can't find the person that you're looking for, but you see from the list of emails that you are seeing that it's first name dot last name or last name, first name at whatever it is, right? And so with that information, if you're trying to reach out to someone, my go-to is to create 15 variations of what the email could be, stick them all in blind carbon copy, and one of those is going to get through and no one's going to be any of the wiser that you threw in lots of different emails out there. But I've had great success. I would say 90% success of finding an email from someone I'm looking for using CareerShift. Now, if you do this and you're reaching out to someone, maybe you want them to speak at a program or come to an event that you're hosting, I wouldn't say, hey, I found your email on CareerShift, because as I said, no one's going to know what that is. and they'll be like, huh? And then they get all paranoid that their email's out somewhere. So you don't even have to say anything at all. You just say, hey, I found you on LinkedIn. How you found their email, that's your secret. It doesn't really matter to the narrative, but it's a really great tool to find any email that you're looking for, and to find industries or companies in a geographic area, then you can find contacts. You'll notice under school attended here, you can actually narrow down a list of company contacts by whether they went to Penn, which is what sort of LinkedIn is doing from what I showed you with the alumni search, but you can do that within CareerShift as well. So all these things overlap in different ways. You want to use these platforms together to get the best, most accurate information. The next tool, Going Global. Going Global is a resource, also somewhat hard to define, but for people who are interested in working abroad, whether that is being a domestic student working internationally or being an international student working in the US, there's something on this platform that can be really helpful for everyone, right? So one of the things that Going Global does is it has these career guides to different countries, working in different countries, guides to different cities in different countries, and guides to cities in the US, right? So if you're interested in moving to Atlanta and you want to find out more about that city, you could probably find a career guide there that's going to give you some insight. So that's valuable to everyone, right? Not everyone has been to all these places in the US and definitely not abroad. Having these city guides just gives you a general lay of the land. Obviously, what you want to do next is connect with alumni in your network who work in these countries or cities to give you a better insight. You can also do an international job search or an international internship search, looking at their job and internship listings across the world, right? So it's sometimes hard if you're searching for a job in a particular country to know where to start. This would be a good starting point, but then you want to use other platforms that have an international reach, like LinkedIn as well, to sort of add to that information. Now, for international students, one of the great things about this platform is the H-1B database. So along that top menu there, you'll see H-1B/OPT. If you click on that, you get to this H-1B plus system here. This has a record of companies that have submitted petitions to sponsor their employees for H-1B visas since 2009, right? So it's a long database. When a company has an international employee and they want to submit, they want to get an H-1B, they have to submit a petition to the government through the process, and all of that is tracked and then made accessible through this database. What this means is that for international students looking to see where they might be able to find work in a company that's going to support them and sponsor them for an H-1B visa, you can find a list of companies that have done that recently or historically. And obviously, as an international student or candidate, focus in on those organizations that you know are more likely to be able to sponsor you in this way. So in this case, I put in software engineer as a keyword, and then I didn't have I had New York as a city here, and I did the search. And then these are the list of things, of H-1B petitions that have been put out there. Submitting a petition doesn't mean that the employee received an H-1B, because not everyone gets one, but it gives you a sense that the company is willing to do so. So as an international student, you have a list of names of organizations here. You have a list of all, the city is what you've chosen. You have job titles that you can sort of explore in different ways. You can download that all into an Excel sheet and then use that as your job search, approach as you're looking for different opportunities that are out there. It's also a great tool for everyone, international or otherwise, who has a job offer, and you want to get a sense of whether the job offer has a salary that's in line with what people are being paid at that organization or in similar organizations, right? So every time that these organizations submit a petition for an H-1B, they have to include a salary number with that. Now, that doesn't necessarily include bonuses and other extras to a salary. And these aren't necessarily going to be for entry-level roles, right? These are people who have at least been at the company for about a year, let's say, before this has been submitted. But it gives you a sense. Now, you should just be careful what you're searching, right? When you see software engineers making lots of money in different things, you don't want to take that to heart. But it's great to know, what sort of numbers are out there. And as I said, great for domestic students applying for jobs at companies, and great for international students to get a sense of that too. And then you can sort of leverage that as you're doing a negotiation moving forward. So a great set of resources in Going Global that can be used by everyone. We are constantly bringing in new resources at Penn. Hopefully the InterStride resource is something that we will be bringing in soon. Again, this is specifically for international students to help them navigate their time in the US. More news on that if we get that. Resume Worded is one of these tools that you can use, anyone can use, to sort of get a sense of how well your resume matches a job description that you might be applying to. What you can do on this platform, again, you can sign up for your free account, is you can upload a job description upload your resume and see how well your keywords match. Again, I go into more detail on this in this video here, how to robot proof your resume. But what this tool is trying to do is just trying to get you through applicant tracking systems and software, right? So many companies don't read every application that they get. They use a sort of a filtering tool or software to make sure that they're only looking at resumes that really are a good fit for the role that people are applying to. One of the easiest ways for software to do that is to look at the keywords in the job description, the keywords in the resume, and say, well, how many of these am I seeing in the resume that we mentioned in the job description? And if there's a high match, then maybe that gets passed on to a human to read it. If there's a low match, maybe you get booted out at an early stage because the software says this may not be a good match. So this is what this system is trying to do, right? So you can upload a job description, and you can do this multiple times, so multiple iterations of whatever it is that you are interested in. Upload your resume, and then you get this score, right? You get this sort of a matching score. This was me applying for an executive director of publication and scientific communication at a pharmaceutical company, I think, in this sample job. Wasn't actually applying. You can see straight away that I have a low score, 51, or mid score, but it says you should get an 85. And to get to 85, what I would need to do is I'd go through those missing keywords that it's identified and try to find ways to integrate those into my narrative. Now, I can't just take them all and plop them in there without actually having experiences, but I can change the experiences that I'm talking about to make sure that they include that. So I work with people in STEM fields. STEM and scientific are the same sort of thing, but it's not a direct match, right? So I could change the narrative in my resume to talk about working with students in scientific fields, and then that would be a good match. So a really great tool, and you can update your resume to see in real time to see how that score changes. Interview prep platforms. Here I am hiding in a potted plant in the corner. We have 3 of these I'm just going to go through quickly. The main one that you may be interested in is our big interview platform. There's a whole bunch of resources on this platform, video resources on interviewing, different types of questions that you might come across, but they also have a video curricula on the job search, on resumes, on negotiating, and on the first 90 days of being in your new job, right? Similar to the presentation that you may have gone to just before this. A great set of resources there for you to take a look at. If you're trying to create narratives about your experience and you need help structuring your answers, we talk about the STAR format, situation, task, action, result in interviewing. There's a great tool to help you build good frameworks for answers that you might be using in an interview. You can then look for sample interviews across different industries where there are questions that you might come across in those fields, and then you can practice those questions in a real life recorded video scenario, right? So this person here is not a real person, but they are going to ask me the question, I'm going to respond to it, and then I can see my responses. I can see the video of my responses. I can even share those with people to get feedback on those. So a really great way of practicing, doing a mock interview with yourself in the comfort of your own home to practice different types of interviewing scenarios. And then again, we have a Making the Most of Big Interview video that you can take a look at if you need more information on that. 2 other interview platforms, one for consulting, Management Consulted. This is for students doing case interview prep. That's a really great resource. And then Exponent, which is our technical interview platform for software engineering and UX design and data science, things that are hard for career advisors and career services to have expertise on, but great to give access to students who are going through these different interviews so that they feel confident answering those types of questions, technical interview questions in their upcoming interviews. And again, we have a video on how to use Exponent effectively.
All right, moving on to video and audio resources, something Joseph and I are both very passionate about, and something that we are looking continually to grow, particularly as we look forward to having some new production facilities in 2024. More about that in the future. First thing, if you are not already sick of my voice, you can hear it every Monday on the CS Radio podcast. This is something that we are going into our 9th season of doing. It's currently hosted by myself and my colleague, Natty Leach, who's the Associate Director for our Wharton undergraduate team, and is currently produced by Sam Pasco, who is a student in the college. Sam's an incredible guy, an incredible producer, and we're so grateful to have him on the team. You can get the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google, on Overcast, Amazon, Stitcher. We're listed everywhere. Plus, the new episode is embedded in the homepage of the Career Services website every week. We're on hiatus for the summer, But every Monday when school is in session, you can hear Nadia and I and Sam talking about a wide variety of career topics. What are our students talking about? What's in the career space news? We often do an article review episode. We love having guests on. We'll have our career services colleagues, alumni, folks from across Penn, folks from industry that we're very happy to have on the show. About half an hour every week, conversational, and I hope educational. So I really encourage everybody to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Moving on to the Career Services YouTube channel. I think we have mentioned this in just about every program so far today, and that's because it is really one of our richest and most used resources. And everything that we do today is being recorded, and it will be available on our YouTube channel for you to watch again in the future. So you can see this is the Career Services YouTube landing page. You can find 179 videos and growing. Joseph in particular is a machine at getting YouTube videos out, and we have them organized in all different ways. One of the ways that you can do things is by watching a playlist. So here's last year's Peer Career Conference playlist. We will make a similar playlist for this year so that you can go through all of the sessions and relive the excitement or tune into the ones that you missed. Again, I always want to stress that we try and feed everything onto our website. So in addition to the actual YouTube channel where things can come up with all the other things that you are subscribed to, you can find our content right on the website. We have a video landing page. And again, all of these things are then pushed out to the relevant areas. So if we have an industry specific video, it will go to that industry community. So for example, the biosciences career fair, I'm sure is on the life sciences career page. The case interviewing workshop would live both in the consulting community, but it will also live in one of our how-to communities. It would live in the how to interview community. So we try and make these things as easy for people to find as possible. So if you're out there looking for interviewing resources, when you're on our interviewing community page, you'll find those videos.
Great. And our final resources of today, and I appreciate that we are slightly late sharing all of our bonus resources with you, are two platforms for graduate students. One is called Beyond Graduate School, specifically for master's students. One is the PhD career training platform for PhD students and postdocs. Both are all-in-one, total top to bottom resources for every aspect of the job search and what happens next after that job search. So I'm just going to show a few things that are connected to that. So for the PhD career training platform, you can see here that there's broken into professional careers and faculty careers. That's a sort of two paths that PhDs and postdocs often take. Lots of resources there on those different areas. So for example, under the faculty career section, you can see there's resources on how to put together application materials, how to decide if now's the right time to apply for faculty roles, but also how to know when it's no longer the right time to apply for faculty roles and how to switch gears then to different opportunities that are out there. Again, a very normal thing for some PhDs and postdocs to experience at some point is being able to make that switch to a different field that's out there. The professional careers is all about leveraging the PhD to find careers beyond academia. Lots of resources on different paths that are out there, and the processes that you need to take to make sure that your CV is more like a resume, to make sure that you're selling yourself effectively and marketing your skills. For people who need sort of assistance, there's a library of 189 videos with PhDs from multiple institutions who are using their PhDs in different fields, right? And so this is a great way of networking without actually having to speak to anyone, but being a fly on the wall so that you can gain access to that information. So a really great resource to get people comfortable with the idea of networking, but also to give you a sense of where you can take your PhD next. Beyond graduate school, many of you may be doing master's programs here at Penn right now or have master's degrees from Penn. So again, very relevant to you, very similar to the PhD career training platform in its structure, looking at different parts of the experience, starting off as a master's student, doing your internship, exploring your options, getting the return on investment of on your master's degree. That's a great sort of area of focus for a lot of master's students. and then making the most of your next steps in your new role, right? And so this is sort of what happens when you have your job, making the most of your next opportunity. So a great way of making sure that you right now in your role are leveraging all the opportunities that you have to grow professionally, and make sure that you're making progress in your own careers moving forward. Like the PhD career training platform, there's 144 videos with master students across different fields in roles right now that you can explore and see what it feels like or looks like, or feel what those experiences can be if you are interested in those fields or want to learn more about those fields. So a really great resource there. And you can look for people in the higher education field, for example, if you wanted to narrow down to that particular subfield. And then lots of guides as part of these. Both of these platforms have downloadable guides that you can work through. And there's a very structured curriculum to sort of exploring your options moving forward. So that's what I love about these platforms, is the instructional guides that walk you through those resources. So that's it. It's been a helter-skelter roller skelter. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but we've gone through quickly to make sure that you have some of these resources. Michael, any last words before we wrap up for today?
I wanted to point out that Management Consultant and Exponent, those are two resources that are primarily for the students and alums served by our office. That's not one that is readily accessible to staff or to folks that we don't serve. But everything else we covered today should be accessible to everybody.